Evening and welcome to the City of Woodstock's public planning meeting. Tonight's meeting is an open public meeting as required by the Planning Act. This meeting is for information and discussion purposes only, and no decisions will be made this evening. Council will make a decision on these matters at the regular council meeting to be held this Thursday. If you also wish to address council at that meeting, you must submit a delegation form no later than 2 p.m. on Tuesday. A delegation form is available on the city's website. If you wish to comment at tonight's meeting, you must do so at the podium. Please refrain from providing comments from the gallery. Only comments provided at the podium will be recorded in the minutes, and you must provide your name and address for the public record before giving comments. Only the applicant or people who provide oral or written comments regarding the application are entitled to appeal council's decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Please keep your comments to planning matters only and avoid repeating comments that have already been expressed. There will be a 5-minute limit on those speaking for or against this application. We ask that you sign in at the back for the appropriate application if you wish to receive formal notice of the council's decision on the matter. The notice will provide further information on appealing the decision. I will now call on the planner to come forward regarding this application, and the Mr. Gilbert. And the application is OP 22-26-A and ZN 8-22-22 applications for official plan amendment and zone change. Cedar Creek Golf Club Limited and City of Woodstock, northwest corner of Juliana Drive and Lampman Place, west of Norwich Avenue. Go ahead, Mr. Gilbert.
Good. These are applications for zone change and official plan amendment to facilitate a 10-story apartment building with 125 apartment dwelling units. The official plan amendment will redesignate the subject property from open space to high density residential, and the zone change would rezone the property from active open space, OS2 and future development to a R4 special zone. To facilitate the proposed apartment building. The requested zoning provisions include a reduction to the minimum lot area, reduce the minimum front yard depth, reduce the minimum exterior side yard width, increase the maximum building height, reduce the number of required parking spaces, permit parking in the front of the building, as well as to reduce the parking area setback from the Lampman Place street line from 1.5 meters to no. The properties are approximately 2.13 acres and are currently vacant. The application was circulated for comments, and the agency comments are included in the report. Planning staff of the opinion that proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement, as the redevelopment is an appropriate infilling and intensification within a service settlement area such as City of Woodstock. As well, the development does respect the existing natural hazards, being the floodplain in the area. The proposal is also consistent with the official plan policies for the designation of new high density sites, as the lands have direct access to Juliana Drive, which is a collector road, as well as the property is in close proximity to the regional shopping center commercial node on Norwich Avenue. The proposed density of the development is 145 units per hectare, which is within the permitted range of density for high density sites. And the proposal will be compatible with surrounding land uses, which include an existing medium density townhouse development to the north. There is high density development, residential development planned and approved to the east, as well as service commercial uses to the northeast. The applicant provided a shadow study that demonstrated that due to the north-south orientation of the building, Minimal shadow impacts are expected on surrounding properties. The applicant also provided a traffic impact study, which analyzes the impact of the development on surrounding transportation networks. City engineering staff have indicated that they're prepared to support the applications and will finalize and review the required traffic and intersection improvements through the site plan approval stage. City engineering staff are looking to have the findings from the transportation master plan in place, which would review this site as well as other plan development in the area in a view to achieve integrated intersection improvements in this area. Portions of the property are also within the floodplain of Cedar Creek that's regulated by the Conservation Authority. The applicants provided supporting studies and modeling to further delineate the floodplain and the flood hazards, and has designed the building and the parking areas to ensure that they remain outside of an area that would be subject to flooding in a flood event. The Conservation Authority indicated they're supportive of the development, provided that all aspects of the development remain outside of this floodplain. And it's noted that the applicant will be working with the Conservation Authority through the site plan approval process, as well as they'll require separate permits from the Conservation Authority prior to issuance of any building permits. With respect to the requested zoning amendments, staff are generally supportive of them. In this case, there isn't really an opportunity to provide additional parking, as that would be in the floodplain, which isn't permitted. So the applicant has provided a mix of underground and surface parking, and it works out to 1.1 spaces per unit, which is similar to other apartment buildings that's been approved in the city. The development will be subject to site plan approval, where other matters such as flooding, floodproofing, servicing, traffic, access, landscaping will be addressed to satisfaction of the city, county, and the Conservation Authority. Given this, planning staff recommend support of the applications.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council? Mayor Accioni.
Thank you, through the chair and Mr. Gilbert. I do have a few questions. I think only a couple are going to be for you, and that's directly towards the traffic. I get some, that whole corner is getting built up pretty quickly, and I do certainly have some concerns. What part of the site plan approvals will need to be done? Does that include things like turning lanes and things like that?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the applicant will have to finalize the traffic study to satisfaction of the city and county, which may also include a peer review. That traffic study would identify intersection improvements that may have to be made. And then the site plan agreement would identify the costing for that and the implementation for that.
So there would be a shared costing of some sort if needed, be it set of lights or turning lanes or whatever is required?
Yeah, depending on the impact of this development, yeah, it would be captured in a site plan agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions from council? Councillor Schadenberg?
Yeah, from the chair through to Mr. Gilbert. I guess the only access in this plan would be to Lampman off of sort of the main front entrance to the 10-story building.
At this time, currently, yes, it's proposed to have the access off Lampman just to prevent another access on Julian and to improve traffic flow.
I guess second question to that, Chair. By looking at the site plan that's somewhat proposed at this point in time, it looks like a lot of the visitor parking or a lot of even the tenant parking is going to be quite a distance away from the actual building itself. And that's likely due to the fact of the floodplain and the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority's floodplain there. But do you think that's at all a negative to be able to sort of say, well, you have an apartment, but your spot might be, say, 80 meters from the front door?
Believe the development has a loading drop-off area, so you could go up there and one person could get out of the vehicle and you could drop off your groceries, whatever, and they could take it up to the apartment closer to the entrance. But yeah, so you are correct. Some of the spaces are a distance from the building itself. But as noted, it's due to the fact the floodplain, you can't, the applicant can't create a parking lot further to the west, closer to the building.
I was doing some mathematical calculations earlier today, and it looks like some of the apartments might be as small as 500 square feet. Can you explain maybe what the county's official plan may say, if there's any wording whatsoever in there for the permission to have such a, let's face it, small apartments?
The official plan encourages a mix of housing types and densities and sizes. So some of the range of sizes in this development would satisfy those goals. More generally, there's a trend towards municipalities removing any minimum gross floor area for apartment units and just having the building code set having the building code set the minimum size, which give a flexibility through different housing forms, as well as letting the building code, which is kind of more appropriate to regulate that in terms of openings, access, kitchens, bathrooms, that sort of thing, rather than relying on the zoning bylaw. Hopefully the smaller units would provide a more affordable rent to potential tenants. So that would be a plus.
May have a couple more questions in a couple of moments, Chair, but I just want to sort of say that anyone who's looked at the provincial policy statement 2020 realizes there's been a lot of changes from that document already, and that there's going to be a provincial policy statement 2023 issued soon, which is really going to set some new guidelines that a lot of people will be very not surprised with, but maybe for a community the size of Woodstock, we'll be surprised with.
Mayor Accioni.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Gilbert again. Sorry, there were some storm water main and sanitary sewer. My understanding with the underground parking, things that got to be moved around then, that must be fairly significant.
So there is a trunk sanitary sewer that runs kind of through the middle of the property.
Yeah.
So the applicant's engineer has been working with Oxford County Public Works. That will be rerouted around the perimeter of the site to provide, to make sure that it still flows through the site, but so that there's still a development footprint that can occur. So the county's provided some comments of what they're looking for through that relocation and what their standards would be. But that will be fully addressed through the site plan approval process.
And may
It'll
I,
all be at the applicant's cost, the relocation.
thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Schadenberg.
Yeah, again, from the chair through to Mr. Gilbert, will this same developer, the same property owner also be coming forward with something on the ends of Salter and Odlum streets as far as the future residential goes, as a possibility? There is a corner of the old golf course that may be able to have some sort of residential component.
Through you, Madam Chair. The application originally included, or it still includes, 2 single attached dwelling lots at the end of Salter. However, there's a number of conversations that had to occur with the Conservation Authority in the city and the applicant. So that portion of the application is not before us this evening. It'll come forward at a later date in a separate application.
Anything else? Any other questions? Hearing none. The representative or of the application like to come forward and present your information.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Cheryl Shindrock, and I'm Executive Vice President with Geranium, and we are the applicants on the proposal that is on the applications that is before you this evening. I am joined this evening by members of our consulting team who have been working on the proposal and who prepared the various technical reports that have been reviewed by city and county staff. And so we're all here to respond to questions this evening as may be necessary. I do have a presentation to make this evening. So what do I need to do? Sorry, Madam Deputy Clerk.
You'll find the file on the desktop. You can just go ahead and click on it.
I think it's not one there.
Does it show up for, okay. Okay, there we go. As Mr. Gilbert has quite capably explained, this is an application for an official plan and zoning bylaw amendment. I've introduced myself and I will be joined as part of this presentation by a couple of members of our team who are going to speak to different aspects of the proposal. But basically, there is our technical team noted there, and representatives of most of them are here with me this evening. Geranium is a builder based in Markham, Ontario, and we were established in 1977. We have developed and built all around Southern Ontario. This is our first opportunity to come to Woodstock, so we are delighted to have this opportunity and look forward to continuing to work with the city. As Mr. Gilbert noted, the site is located at the corner of Juliana and Lampman, and it is part of the former golf course lands. It is approximately 2.1 acres in area, and it is comprised of a portion of lands that are the golf course holdings and a half-acre parcel that is part of an unused portion of the Juliana Drive right away. The site, as all of the people in this room would know even better than I, is surrounded by some existing townhomes to the north. There are some development approvals on the east side of Lampman for some commercial uses, including a hotel and conference facility. There is the former golf course, the location of the former golf course clubhouse on the south side. It has been demolished, so it is a vacant site right now. And then, of course, the golf course lands to the west. The course itself was closed in February of 2019, and majority of the lands are within the floodplain area, so they're not part of the development proposal. We've delineated the development parcel on the basis of floodline mapping that's been provided by the Conservation Authority. And as Mr. Gilbert noted, there is a small development area at the end of Salter Avenue that is not subject of the public meeting this evening. We are working with city staff to see what might be possible in that location on a very minor level. As was also noted, there is a land swap contemplated to create the development site, and that was before council in December of 19, where council approved in principle the notion of this swap being a half-acre unused portion of the Juliana right away, and of course then the balance of the developable lands in this location that are golf course lands. So as part of this overall proposal, approximately 40 acres of land will be conveyed to the city for purposes of a public park. So converting the lands from a private open space to a public open space area. So the development on this parcel is, as Mr. Gilbert has already described, proposed as a 10-story apartment building containing 125 dwelling units. And those units include a mix of apartment types ranging from or including one bedroom and den, two bedroom and den, and 3-bedroom units, ranging in size from the smallest being 500 square feet up to 1,150 square feet. The building has a second-level rooftop amenity area. The parking is satisfied through a combination of underground parking beneath the building, as well as some surface parking that you can see to the west of the building and to the northwest of the building. All of that is organized to stay out of the floodline area. And as has also been noted, the development is subject to site plan control. And so we would be continuing to work with your staff on the details around that. I'd like to call now on our servicing engineer, Sarah Kurtz, who will provide an overview of the servicing for the site.
Good evening, everyone. Just a brief overview of the proposed stormwater management and servicing for the site. As previously mentioned by Mr. Gilbert, stormwater management will be dealt with on the site itself. There's no external infrastructure required. The details of how the stormwater will be dealt with will be completed at the site plan application stage. Water servicing for the site will be via an existing water main on Lampman. And just scroll down. There we go. Okay. As previously mentioned, sanitary servicing, there's an existing sanitary trunk sewer that runs through the middle of the site. Through the county's studies, that sewer has been planned to be upgraded as well. Through our application, it's proposed to be relocated further west to so as not to interfere with the underground parking garage. But the trunk sanitary sewer will continue to provide conveyance of flows from downstream through the site to upstream.
That's it.
That's it.
Short and sweet.
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to ask Mr. Handy to come now. He's the planning consultant on the file, and he is going to describe in a little more detail the actual applications and the requests before you this evening.
Thank you, Cheryl. Members of committee, my name is Hugh Handy, and I'm a land use planner, professional land use planner, and vice president with GSP Group. This evening, obviously, Eric has walked you through the application. There's an official plan amendment that's part of this application to allow for the residential use of the property, as well as the implementing zoning bylaw, which will put that into your high density zone. Can I put this into a wider view, maybe? Down, where am I? Full screen. There we go.
Oh,
Is that better?
I didn't know. I just know how to advance it.
Yep.
Okay.
Good. It's these progressive lenses that I need at 57. Thanks for your indulgence there for a minute. Eric has gone through some of this, so I don't intend to spend a lot of time. We're trying to obviously change some of the regulations of the R4. The one I would note just about midway down is the passenger loading space. There is a passenger loading space, so that's a correction. I believe Eric mentioned that in his report as well. We've gone over the parking in some detail and happy to, obviously, there's been some discussion already this evening regarding that. The front yard is Juliana, exterior side yard in planning terms is Lampman. So there are some relief there. The exterior side yard, there's just a pinch point where the property comes off. It's mostly 7.5 meters as well, except just at the north end. And that parking area setback is the reason for that 0 at the front where it kind of goes in. So those are just a couple of highlights there. Again, we can spend more time if you want through questions. So we feel that the proposed amendments are to the zoning bylaw are minor in nature and meet the intent of the respective provisions and are reflective of fairly modern zoning standards. The amendments are required to introduce this development on the site, which you've heard some comments close to transit routes, within walking distance of your commercial center and other institutional uses, and will contribute to this lovely feature of the new park along the creek system. Provincial policy statement has been noted. There's lots of things to keep me up reading at night by the province, but the intent overall is to encourage efficient land use patterns within settlement areas, and that's to obviously promote these types of activities. There's also an importance to provide a range and mix of housing, and especially within your urban centers, and Woodstock being one of those. And this is where you would want to see your higher density uses contributing to that mix of housing. There's also, as part of this, encouraging development standards that create that intensification in logical locations, and in our opinion, in GSP's opinion, this is a logical place for that intensification. The official plan for Oxford, and directing specifically to Woodstock, is to again facilitate those housing choices, tenure, and locations, and look at areas where we can accommodate those within the urban areas. It does balance those against obviously protecting natural environment features, using those lands that are constrained, but recognizing a study can occur, and that's what we've done in this case. To look at those areas where they could be community landmarks or reference points. This is obviously an area that's going to undergo some change, or we're proposing some change. And it also to support those densities near your transit system to support those uses. So higher density uses in 7.6 or 7.26 of the official plan talks about direct access to arterial and collector roads. That's important as part of this site, using underutilized and adjacent sites. And again, this is what we believe to be an underutilized site that is vacant currently. Again, just reiterating, community services are here, and this is one of your major shopping areas within Woodstock. So again, in terms of your official plan, your densities are encouraged here, close to your major community center and parks and open space and other services. The land use designation, then, as we talked about, residential and high density would be part of this. And again, encouraging this use to be in this location. Zoning bylaw, I think we've again covered that, but to say that we believe the zoning before you this evening is reflective of, subject to obviously your discussion and recommendation, but we feel is a logical implementation of your high density area. In terms of Bill 23, I'm sure council has had discussions, and I know council's had discussions about this and how each area of the province is intended to take their various shares of housing within it. Number of legislative changes, increasing the supply of all types of housing, and we feel that this application, again, as proposed, will aid in achieving those targets. So in conclusion, the development is a what we believe is an important part of this application close to the Cedar Creek Golf Course. And will be part of creating that common amenity space or community amenity space in balance with this application. The applications, in our opinion, are consistent with provincial policy and meet the objectives of the official plan. And as well, the zoning bylaw amendment, in our opinion, obviously represents an implementation of the official plan. And finally, contributes to the housing objectives and supply in Woodstock. And I think with that, I'd be happy, or our team, as Cheryl has indicated, be happy to answer any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of council? Councillor Beaton?
Through the chair. I'm assuming that these will be rental units and they will be market rent.
Let Cheryl respond to that.
Thank you for that question, Councillor, through the chair to you. We haven't determined whether these will be rental or condo, but they will be market. That is our plan at this point.
Any other questions from council? Mayor Accioni?
Thank you through the chair. Well, first off, let me say, Ms. Schindrick,
Yes,
is that correct?
very good.
Welcome, welcome to the city, of course.
Thank you very much.
I've heard some great things about you, your company, and obviously we know GSP well and a few of the other companies. So I guess not every day we have the opportunity to get 40 acres of land within city use for a park. So that's what makes this really unique, this kind of land swap. And I remember in 2019, during all those discussions and when that was first, the conception was started. So it's nice to see us to get to this point. It's no secret, like probably many of us, we have some major concerns with the traffic as mentioned previously. And I guess feel better knowing with the impact that's going to do with the area. I just want to make sure that developer is fully aware and prepared for some of those costs, of course, sanitary sewer, and the traffic concerns. So I just make everyone listening and us, of course, sitting here in council that those could be some significant costs to put this forward.
Well, thank you, your worship, and through the chair to you. As has been said, there's a lot of things happening in this area, so it's quite exciting. And so we imagine there will be the need for collaboration and working together on timing and when things happen. So we've started those discussions with your team, and we imagine those discussions will continue as we advance site plan process.
Sure. Again, it's exciting. It's just a whole bunch of vacant land that's been sitting there for a long time. All of a sudden is going to have a lot of activity there and of course change that whole area potentially. So
well, the need is dire. You can
yes.
pick up a newspaper in any community in this province, especially Southern Ontario, and the need for housing is just so critical.
There's not a day that doesn't go by that somebody is reaching out saying they're looking for something. And that's the honest to goodness truth. So we recognize that for sure. And hopefully, as far as affordable, as Councillor Wheaton kind of alluded to, we'd love to see more affordable units available to those residences, those maybe 500 square foot. Would love to see and really happy with the mix that this is being proposed. So again, though it's different than what we're used to, the reality is, this is being mandated by the province. So we've got to do the best we can. So just
and that is entirely behind the mix that that is proposed, and we'll get confirmed through the site plan process. But that is why we have the smaller units and a good range of different unit types to be able to meet those more affordable price points.
Again, I just want to say thank you. I know it's been so far what I'm being told. It's been a pleasure to work with you and your group and working through everything. So thank you.
Thank you, your worship.
Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Through the chair, just a quick question about the underground parking. I know that some of our units, some of our high density that have underground parking here in the city at this point, I know, for instance, at my parents' building, some of the parking allows for 2 vehicles to be able to fit into one area. They're quite long
The
parking.
Tandem.
So would that be something that's going to be available in your building? Is it something that would be a possibility to allow for some additional parking? I just know that thinking of this area of where they are, there's 4 units, 11-story units, where they are here in the city.
Mhm.
And the parking is pretty intense there at
Mhm.
times. So
Mm.
just wondering how to avoid any kind of complications with that for this development.
Right, thank you. Thank you for the question. And through the chair, I'd like to call on our architect, Mr. Hicks, who can perhaps elaborate on this a little further. I don't believe we have any tandem spots. Oh, we do. Oh.
Subject to Ryan confirming that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hicks.
Good evening. I'm Ryan Hicks with SRM Architects. So just as we were discussing, we are providing, I believe it's 8 tandem stalls right now. Tandem stalls tend to come about in more of a residual manner, just because the cost of putting the park underground is quite expensive, but in the way that the layout worked, we have been able to provide 8, which you're right, for those 3-bedroom units, there is a likelihood you will need 2 cars for some of these larger units, and so that was considered.
Thank you for that. I try to read, I'm learning how to read these site plans, and every time I have a few questions of what I'm actually seeing, so I appreciate that.
You let him go yet? Or- okay.
Are there any other questions of council? Thank you. I think everything's okay. Might be a few questions later when some of the public might want. to
We're
speak.
not going anywhere.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this application? If you'd like to come forward, and we need your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Christine Sawyer and I'm from 511 Rideau Road here in Woodstock. I have a few things I'm not necessarily against this application. I know our city's in need of apartments and housing. I think I just have a few concerns. I think the area that we're talking about is quite small for this type of an application. I know previously it was slated for 8 stories. We're going up 2 more stories. And the floodplain concerns me. Yes, it's not encroaching on the floodplain, but we don't know what the future holds when it comes to flooding and how far that flooding could come into effect when you've got housing that close. Also, I think with the changes that they're asking for smaller frontage and such, the reason they have to do that is because the spot is not large enough for this building. We also have the conference center and the hotel coming in on the same street across the street, which has not been built yet. That place doesn't have enough parking as it is for their buildings. And here we come again with more parking. As far as the transportation, that's the major concern on that corner. We have people coming from the 401. The signs tell them to come down to the street, down Juliana, to come to all our development down there. So we get not only local traffic, but we get that. We have had an increase in traffic from businesses that get out at work at time. They go down our street, fly down our street on Lampman because they don't want to go through all the lights on Norwich Ave. That there is something we were told would never happen when Lampman opened. Also, with the conference center and the hotel being just approved, we had then asked about lights and stuff at Juliana, and we're told then that because it's such a close location to Norwich Ave, we wouldn't be able to put a lighting system in at Lampman. So that there is a concern for transportation, because if the transportation isn't dealt with until the site plan, we get too much transportation, you don't have a light to put in, what are you going to do? I mean, it's already hard to get out of Lampman Place because of the the traffic. The questions I do have is, there's obviously trees going to be lost, and usually the trees are 2 for 1. If is it 3 for 1? Oh, 3 for 1. Okay, so my question there is, do they put them in a separate lot? Because obviously you're not going to fill the trees. There's no location there to do that. Of course, my other concern is snow removal. When you have that many parking spots, where are you going to put the snow? Obviously, they have a lot of land, but if that's a park land, what are we going to do with it then? I'm a little upset and disappointed to hear its market value. Yes, they have smaller apartments, but it would be nice to get some more geared to income housing in this city. As we know, many can't afford, and there's too many homeless that we have in our city now. We need to create more geared to income, not affordable, because affordable isn't affordable to most. Geared to income is needed. And also I'm thinking, I wanted to know too as well, they say there's an amenity area on the top roof of the building. I'm wondering if that could be discussed a little. I'm just concerned about what amenities might be up there, and how, with that being so high, obviously you're going to probably be able to see into my backyard. So I'm just concerned about that. And I think that's all I have. Okay, thank you.
So this lady would like some questions answered. So Mr. Gilbert, would you like to start, or would you like the applicant to come forward? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to call on Mr. Hicks to come back up, and also Carolyn, please, our ecologist. First of all, I wanted just to on the comment about the size of the site and the concern about the floodplain. This team here behind me and with me tonight has done a lot of technical work. We need to know that the site can work, and we wouldn't propose something that couldn't. So I want to try and alleviate the concern about being able to for the site to accommodate the development. The floodplain has been front and center with our discussions with the Conservation Authority from day one. They've updated their floodline mapping recently, which is reflected in the setbacks on the proposal that we've presented today. So, and that dialogue will be ongoing with the Conservation Authority. So I'm quite confident that is an issue that we will have well in hand. So maybe I can ask Mr. Hicks to comment on the amenity area that's on the building.
Thank you, Cheryl. So the term rooftop is probably a bit misleading. So it is on the rooftop, but it is on the rooftop of the second floor. So there's a bit of a podium. So the tower itself steps back, and where it steps back and exposes that roof, that becomes the amenity terrace. So it is only 4 meters off the floor. So it's concerns around overlook. There really shouldn't be any at that level. It's not on the top of the 10th floor with a panoramic view of everyone's backyard. It's set down lower.
Thank you, Ryan. So then on the question about the trees. Carolyn, maybe you could introduce.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening. I'm Carolyn Glass with Beacon Environmental. I'm a senior ecologist. So we did a full tree inventory on the site. So that's all been documented in terms of what's there and what's going out. We're still working through the process with the city in terms of that replacement. You're right that they would go. Sorry. Yep. You're right that they would go somewhere else. And in this case, we have the former golf course. So in terms of converting that golf course to something that's more natural, it makes more sense. And especially in some of the riparian areas we identified through our impact statement of changing some of those areas to be less that manicured golf course and more something natural and with more tree cover. So those trees at the prescribed replacement rate will definitely go into that area and to naturalize that golf course into more of a park natural setting.
Thank you, Carolyn. I think that covers things. I don't really have a response on the rent geared to income units. But maybe what I would say is we'd be happy to speak with the Nonprofit Housing Corporation and see if there's an opportunity anyway. I don't know if they're looking for additional sites. I imagine they are.
The one other question, I think that the lady requested, it's the snow removal. Where would it go? Do you have any?
Well,
answer on
it would be managed by either the the building operations. So whether there is storage on the site or whether it would need to be taken away, that would become something to be determined by the either the condo corporation or the operator of the rental building.
Thank you. It's not really a question, but I can definitely tell you if you're interested, please speak with County of Oxford. I can certainly give you their information. I know they're looking for more places for affordable housing and there might be some dollars available to assist us to encourage those to happen. So we can certainly make those connections with you. Okay, thank you. Because we need that. Here's the city for sure. Just like Ms. Sawyer mentioned.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak against this application? Yes, come forward and please give us your name. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joni Grant and I live at 471 Rideau Road. I have two questions and one is, are you putting sidewalks in? So, because that site has no sidewalks. And also, what's the question? Oh, when do they have to make a decision or when does a decision need to be made if they're going to be condos or rental units?
On the first question on the sidewalks, we have proposed a sidewalk along Lampman. Is there a sidewalk on Juliana? Yeah, I believe there is. Forgive me for not knowing. So that is on the proposal. That'll be finalized, I assume, as well through the site plan process. And rental versus ownership, others can certainly can weigh in on this, but the tenure is not part of the decision making of the approval authority, as far as I understand.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just to build on what Cheryl said, it could also still go through a condo process and be held as rentals as well. So that could have another process, but just be all held or certain units be sold as well.
Are there any other, anyone else would like, yes, come forward, please? And could we have your name and address, please?
Hi, my name is Ramona Pullen. Actually, I live over by the hospital, but my sister lives on Lampman. So I frequently use Juliana Drive to go to my house. Again, traffic is a huge concern. That bridge that's there, I'm thinking will have to be expanded. It will have to go at least four lanes. It's just an observation because of the way the traffic is flowing there. So I know they said that they were looking into this and we won't know today, and that's fine. The other thing is I'm more inclined for an 8-story unit than a 10-story unit. If you look around us, the buildings on Juliana by the hospital are 8 stories high. The new ones on Ferguson, I believe, are 5 or 7. I don't know. We were talking to somebody there that they were building. The 10-story high just seems out of sorts when you're looking at all of the hotels that are there and the conference center that's going to be built there. There's nothing that's going to be 10 stories high. So in that regards, aesthetically speaking, I'm going more for the 8 stories application as opposed to the 10 stories, even though I'm not directly involved or it won't directly affect me. but I am in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the planner like to speak to that or the applicant?
I'd be happy to provide a comment. I think what we've tried to do here, Madam Chair, is optimize the site for housing. Where there's an opportunity to provide the housing, we can make the site work. That's what we've done. And in our opinion, 10 stories is appropriate in this location. It's not immediately adjacent to an existing low density residential area. There is a good mix of uses in the surrounding environs that I think caters to this being a higher density, higher building site. So I would respectfully disagree with the 8-story being preferred. I think from the point of view of delivering on housing goals and objectives, having a site that is functional, and for all the reasons that have been discussed this evening, the 10-story building makes a lot of sense in this location. Perhaps Mr. Gilbert would want to add to it.
Yeah, I'll just note that the density of the site, even at the 10 stories, is within the high density designation, so it's still within the official plan maximum density for high density. So for that reason, staff are supportive of the proposed 10-story.
So is that possible that it could go to 12 if the applicant asks for it? I mean, I know they're not going to be or anything but that, but just saying that how high could it go if the highest
It's
10 the maximum or?
it's pretty well at that upper limit of the high density limits right now at the 10 stories.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, maybe could I add as well? To go higher starts then to necessitate the need for another level of underground parking, which adds immensely to the cost, particularly given the ground conditions here. So this is sort of the 10 stories is really the sweet spot for density. As Mr. Gilbert said, the density is up to 150 units per hectare. We're at 145, so we're starting to approach that 150. And then there's other implications if you start to push up a little higher, that makes the site unworkable or less workable.
I just mentioned that just to make sure that we were, and it's good to know that we're pretty well at the max so that they're not going over the 8 and really pushing the envelope to the 10. So I just really want to get that clarified. Thank you. Is anyone else here that would like to speak against this application? Okay, so hearing none, we will just dealing with this on Thursday night at our council meeting. There will be a decision made, and if anyone would like to speak at that meeting, just contact our office and by Tuesday at noon, and you can get your name on the list to come to council. And with that, I will ask for an adjournment. Councillor Schattenberg and seconder Mayor Accioni. Thank you.